All right. Got everything going now. All right. So we're here. Just going to make a little change there. There we go. All right. Now we're good. Took a little while, but everything's rolling. I'm always live on 5 platforms here, so it takes a minute to get it set up. But appreciate you all tuning in. And wow, that's a super awkward camera angle. We're going to switch that up a little more again. Beauty. Appreciate you all tuning in today, guys. We are talking about the echo effect. And so I'm going to dig into exactly what that is momentarily. But before we get into the show, as always, the goal of this show is to help athletes reach their true potential, help athletes build their dream careers in sport. So if you or someone you know is an up and coming athlete looking for tips, tricks, mindset hacks, and so much more, in order to help them build the career that they're after in their sport, make sure to share the show with them, share the show with them, share the live stream with them if you're here right now. And let's just get this show out in front of more people. Let's help athletes, which is what we are all about here. Now, let's get into the show. We're talking about the echo effect. We're going to get going in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the #1 show for athletes looking to gain an edge on their opponents and build their dream careers in sport. I'm your host, Kenny Dusseault, and today we are talking about the echo effect. Now, before we get into the show, I just want to really reinforce with you guys, the goal of this show is to help athletes reach their true potential, to help athletes actually achieve the dream careers that they're after in their sport. So do me a favor, if you know of an athlete that would benefit from mindset hacks, from training tips, from everything, just information that is going to help them level up, that is going to help them reach the levels that they're actually after in their sport, take a minute, share this episode, share this podcast over with an athlete, with a coach, with someone who you know is going to benefit from it, and let's help spread the word. The goal of this show is to impact athletes. That's what we're all about. But let's get into the show. We're talking about the echo effect. So basically, the reason we're talking about this today, guys, is because I was having a conversation with one of my business mentors, Natasha Starcheski. Sorry about that. And she was talking about this in terms of building a business. And basically, the echo effect is the idea that what you do today reflects on the results you receive tomorrow. Now, she was talking about it in the terms of building up a business. So if you're not posting on social media, then if you take like a month away from posting on social media, then a month from now, nobody's going to know who you are in your network because you haven't been around for a month. So, potential new leads, all of that aren't going to have any relationship with you because you haven't put the time into building it. And, if you're not messaging back your clients, then, well, after a couple of weeks, they're going to start being like, well, what the fuck am I paying this guy for? And the result is going to show later on why, because of the actions that you take today. Now, it got me thinking a lot about how this applies to athletes as well. And the first place that it really struck me, where it applies to a lot of athletes that I work with and a lot of athletes that I see day to day in this industry, is when it comes to building sponsorships, when it comes to, making the most financially out of your athletic career. This is something that so many athletes find intimidating. They don't know how to ask for sponsorships. They don't know how to build a sponsorship package. They kind of think like, oh, I'll take care of that. I'll do that when I'm at a higher level, or I'm this or I'm that. And so they just don't do it. But again, the action you take today reflects the results you see tomorrow. If you decide, I don't like social media, so I'm not going to use it, then guess what? A year from now, when all these other athletes have been posting on social media, building relationships with potential sponsors, and you haven't, who are the people going to sponsor? They're going to sponsor the ones that they see online. They're going to sponsor the ones that they have a better relationship with. They're going to sponsor the ones that they feel like they know. So your choice is to either sit in the background and say, oh, I don't like social media. It's not for me. I don't get it, blah, blah, blah. Or start taking the uncomfortable action. Realize that if you want people to invest in you, you need to show them why they need to invest in you. And if you're not showing them why they need to invest in you, if you're not showing them who you are as a person, what motivates you, what you love, what you don't love, things like that, they're not going to have a relationship with you. And if they don't have a relationship with you, they're not going to want to invest in you. So the results you see tomorrow reflect the actions that you take today. And if the actions you take today aren't reflective of the results you want to see, you're not going to see the result. It's not just going to happen by accident. Now, the other areas that this really struck me with is a lot of athletes, as soon as they mention, doing something that's going to take their training to a new level, whether that's bringing on a strength coach, whether that's bringing on a nutritionist, whether that's investing money into, massage therapy, chiropractic, all these other things that so many athletes need, the immediate reaction is money's too tight. I can't do that right now. And I understand. I'm not trying to sit here and say that money's not tight. I'm not trying to sit here and say that, you need to spend your money if you don't want to spend your money. If you decided that money's too tight to spend anything right now, that's on you. But the actions that you take today reflect the results you see tomorrow. If you are not putting any kind of investment into your training, any kind of investment into your nutrition, any kind of investment into improving your future as an athlete, and your opponents are all putting that investment in, the action you take today is reflective of the results you see tomorrow. If you don't take action, you don't see the results. If you're trying to improve yourself physically, if you're trying to improve yourself, if you're trying to improve your gas tank, if you're trying to improve your strength, your power, your speed, any of those other things, and you don't take action in order to actually work towards improving those things, the results aren't just going to happen. Now, one of the things that you really need to pay attention to here, this isn't just financial, but this is action as well. Obviously the financial side helps, bringing on better coaches, traveling to better gyms, whatever other things that you can do that can help you level up. These are actions that are going to yield better results down the road. But this is investments in time, investments with other action as well. If you are training really hard, but then every weekend you're going out, having a bunch of drinks, spending your whole weekend hungover, lying on the couch, all of these other kind of things that I see so many athletes do, athlete through the week, degenerate through the weekend kind of lifestyle, then again, the actions that you're taking are going to reflect the results you see tomorrow. If you're doing those things, any one time you do it, it might not seem like a big deal. I went out and I had a little bit of fun, whatever, it's no big deal. I'm back on the grind now. But how many times have you been back on the grind? How many times have you sacrificed a weekend to go out, do all these things, and then had to get back into it when it comes to training? Every single time you do that your opponents are not doing that, is another step that they're taking forward that you're taking backward. And any one of these things on its own doesn't feel like a big deal. But that mentality of the echo effect is what really spoke to me, because again, the actions you take today reflect the results you see tomorrow. Now, the last really big one that I wanted to talk about here is something I see a lot of athletes do. And I see a lot of athletes that, as an example, they don't have a fight booked right now. So they just don't go back to the gym for a while. They just take 2 months off of training completely because, I don't have anything booked. So, it's not a big deal. Now, in those 2 months, think about the improvements that you could be making. Think, even if you're just training 3-4 times a week, like you don't have to train like you're in fight camp, but even if you're just training 3 or 4 times a week, think about the improvements that you can be making in that 2 months instead of just taking it off. And then these same athletes are the ones who are confused when they don't get a good result in their fight. And you didn't get the result you were looking for because you took 2 months off that you could have been training. And this isn't to say that you need to, live and breathe training 12 months of the year, 7 days of the week. You need time away. But these people that think that the only time they need to train is when they have something booked, again, we're coming back to that echo effect. The actions you take today reflect the results you see tomorrow. If you want to succeed in your sport, if you want to actually achieve the goals that you have set out for yourself, whether that's, world champion status, whether that's just professional status, whatever it might be, you have to put the actions in today that reflect the person you are trying to become. And the person who's trying to become a professional athlete, the person who's trying to win world championships, the person who's trying to achieve all of these things is in the fucking gym. They're not taking 3 months off because they don't have a fight. They're still training 3, 4, 5 at least times per week to make sure that the next time a fight comes up, they're ready to take it. And they're not just ready to get in there, they're ready to succeed when they get in there. Because again, and I'm going to say this a lot during this episode, the actions you take today reflect the results you see tomorrow. And it's easy to sit here and say, like, if you don't get a good result in your competition, it's easy to sit here and say, oh, I lost because of this, or I lost because of that, or, it wasn't my fault, it was because of that. But the true professionals, the ones who rise above, the ones who actually end up reaching the levels that they're after, don't take the excuse, they take the accountability. They understand that there are things that I didn't do, or things that I did poorly, or things that I need to work on. And working on those things are going to get me the result that I'm looking for in my next fight. I was even having a conversation about this with one of my athletes very recently. And like, this kid trains like an animal. He works super hard, has good skills, but just mentally gets caught up a little bit in like the idea of, the dog fight. Like, he just loves to, get in the pocket and slug it out. And he's lost a couple of fights because of that. But we were talking about it yesterday, and, we were talking, and I basically told him, I was like, man, he showed me his last fight, and I basically told him, I was like, dude, you were making this guy look silly. Like, he didn't even look like he belonged in the ring with you. And he ended up losing a split decision. And obviously a loss sucks regardless, but I was talking to him about this, and I was like, I really don't feel like there's a skill thing that could have fixed this issue for you. And again, I'm not a fight coach, so don't take this as me trying to, analyze the game plan or anything like that. But basically I said, I was like, from what I'm seeing, it's not a skill thing that's an issue for you. It's just, you start off with a really good game plan, and then you get sucked into that idea of like, bite down on the mouthpiece and swing. And sometimes that's going to go your way, sometimes it's not. But if you stick to the game plan of what you were doing early on that just was making him look silly, and you do that for 3 hard rounds, this dude didn't even belong in the same stratosphere as you. Now, the reason I bring that up is because now coming into a new fight, it's going to be on this guy to take action to make sure that he doesn't have that issue again. Take action to make sure that he's working on sticking to the game plan, not getting sucked into, a little bit of drama or trying to, just trying to ego fight a little bit, and just focusing on outboxing someone, outpointing someone, and then beating them instead of showing them how tough he is. And, I'm sure he's not the only guy that gets sucked into that a little bit, but the main point there is, again, about the action. Now, we talked about things that he can start doing, or he can start working on, or he can start thinking about to start taking action towards that, to start putting himself in a position where mentally he sticks to the game plan better, and in turn comes out with the win instead of getting sucked into a little bit of that drama and ending up coming out with a loss. Because the action you take today reflects the results you see tomorrow. So what I want you guys to take away from this, and what I really hope to reinforce here, is think about this. What actions are you taking today that are not reflective of the results you want to see tomorrow? And obviously, when I say tomorrow, I mean down the road as well, not literally just tomorrow. But think about the goals you have for your career. Think about where you're trying to end up. Think about the levels you want to reach. What are you not doing that you need to do to start moving in that direction? And for a lot of people, that's simple things, getting the right amount of sleep, cutting out some bad habits, some vices, hiring a strength coach, hiring a nutritionist, hiring, a massage therapist, a chiropractor, all of these other things that a lot of athletes need to be doing that they aren't doing yet for whatever reason. Money's a little tight right now. I can't do it. Oh, I'm super busy. Work's crazy. But as soon as work comes down, I'll do it. As soon as this happens, as soon as that happens. But guys, there's always a reason not to. There's always a reason that you can avoid making that investment, whether that's a time investment, a financial investment, or otherwise. But you've got to ask yourself, are you putting in the actions today that are reflective of the athlete you're trying to become or the person you're trying to become tomorrow? And if you're not, what is one action you can start taking right away? What is one thing you can do, one investment you can make, one habit you can get rid of, one change in your life that's going to push you closer to those goals? All right, that is it. That is all. I appreciate you all for tuning in. Thank you for coming if you're here live right now. If you're listening back to this on the podcast, on the YouTube channel, any of the other ways that you can listen, I appreciate you for taking the time to listen. If you got value from the show today, my biggest ask of you all is share it with a friend, share it with a teammate, share it with a coach, share it with someone that you know will benefit from this message. So thank you again. I appreciate you. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you on the next episode.